There is a famous proverb that goes, "You are what you eat." The health and well-being of your future self depend on what you take in every day. This is also the case with information. The information and opinions you absorb every day determine who you will be in the future. Since humans are largely the products of their environment, if you wish your future self to be good, it is particularly important to put yourself in a healthy information environment. Speaking of the information environment, it is rapidly changing due to technological development. Today, all people on Earth have the potential to be connected. Their relationships are sometimes anonymous, and everyone can be a sender of information. Above all, the volume has become huge. The Library of Alexandria, built in the 3rd century BC, contained at least 100,000 books and truly deserved to be called a reservoir of knowledge in the ancient world. According to one estimate, in 2025, the amount of information generated globally every 3 seconds is equivalent to the entire content held by the library, and not all of it is reliable. Humans are not yet accustomed to this situation, so we are in the midst of creating the norms and manners suitable for this new information environment. For a better self and a better society, how should we engage with information? We often witness celebrity scandals and gossip circulated on social media platforms. This kind of information is like junk food for the brain. Despite knowing that it is a waste of time and is emotionally draining, why do humans tend to be attracted to such information? The answer may lie in the hunter-gatherer lifestyle of our ancestors, which largely shaped our instincts. Until 13,000 years ago, all humans were living in a small band of around 150 people. Everyone knew each other, and there were no such things as celebrities who were known one-sidedly by many. Also, internal information sharing was crucial for a tribe to operate effectively. Negative information was particularly important to avoid potential threats and conflicts. In a small band, it was vital to know who was ill, who was committing wrongdoing, and who was in conflict with whom. As a result, Homo sapiens have evolved with a built-in impulse to learn and share information about acquaintances, especially negative ones. The problem is that this tribal instinct sometimes backfires today. Your instinct doesn't understand the fact that the celebrity on the screen is not an acquaintance of yours. There is most likely no chance to meet him or her in person, and therefore, the celebrity has almost nothing to do with your life. The very instinct that prompted our ancestors to share information about their community members now prompts you to push the share button about celebrity gossip. However, if you know that this is a malfunction of your mind, you can better deal with it. Next time you feel like tapping the link to a trivial gossip, talk to yourself. This is just my hunter-gatherer brain malfunctioning. If there is no gain, only harm from consuming this information, why should I learn it? Since the rise of web media, every single citizen can be an active sender and receiver of information. Those who had distrust of the traditional media in particular celebrated it as the democratization of information, and they are willing to seek out information on their own and uncover the untold truth. But can we really celebrate it? One of the most important insights about human nature in this information age is that we possess confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our psychological tendency to search for or interpret information that supports your existing belief and overlook or ignore elements against your opinions. This is also called motivated reasoning, indicating our desire to selectively look for information that justifies what you want to believe. Therefore, when we set about gathering information ourselves, we may already be prejudiced. If you just felt an urge to protest that you are gathering information fairly and correctly, you might already be caught in confirmation bias. Your mind tried to ignore the inconvenient information that threatened your sense of identity as an information-literate person. What makes the situation even worse is a phenomenon called the filter bubble on social media. To entice its audience, social media algorithms are designed to show you only the posts you might like. As a result, your information environment ends up being occupied with opinions you agree with. Much like eating only sweets leads to poor physical health, we need to reflect on the consequences of constant exposure to pleasant information. In order to stay humble, open-minded, Balanced and worthy of respect, we need to be exposed, at least occasionally, to opposing viewpoints and different values. It may feel uncomfortable at that moment, but in the long run, it proves to be good for you. With the growth of the internet and social media, cancel culture and public backlash have become increasingly prominent. What we need to know about the internet in terms of information literacy is that extreme and aggressive people are conspicuous, but in fact very small in number. First of all, one would not dare to spend time and energy to share one's view unless they have a quite strong opinion or motives for a certain topic. This creates a dynamic in which the online space, at least among vocal participants, skews toward more extreme distribution of opinions than in reality. Moderate participants are likely to be excluded. Also, if we witness 100 critical posts on a particular subject, we might conclude that the entire society has the same view, but it is an illusion. According to a study on a certain public backlash, only 1 out of every 70,000 users took part in the firestorm. Still, if the total online population reaches 10 million, the ratio would yield more than 100 people making hostile remarks. Furthermore, it is not uncommon for this tiny minority to post obsessively and repeatedly. For example, when a journalist's blog received more than 700 negative comments, a check of the IP addresses revealed that only 4 users were behind them. In short, participants of the online backlash are often a tiny minority, and the most extreme yet fewest people in that minority are creating the illusion of extreme public opinions. If your social media account is flooded with hundreds of negative comments every day, it would seem like the whole world is against you, but in reality, they are only a few. The volume of online voices can be deceptive. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Is it possible that shameless people do not exist in the world? It is not possible. Then do not require what is impossible. This person is also one of those shameless people who must be in the world by necessity." Obviously, if it is unacceptable to speak in person, we must not say it on the internet either. Also, the pain and suffering of those who become the target of online outrage is immeasurable. At the same time, however, it is unrealistic to hope that such people do not exist at all. Here are 2 things we really need to do. Try not to lose our conscience by being influenced by them, and be reminded that they are extremely small in number and therefore do not represent the general public. Human society in the 21st century is inundated with an enormous volume of information, both true and false, valuable and worthless. How can we separate the wheat from the chaff and get close to a correct understanding of things? A French economist and political advisor, Jacques Attali, defined the truth as follows. The truth is merely a provisional consensus among sincere experts who are independent from power and socially accepted, and the more experts, the better. First, why should it be by experts? For example, is it possible for a single individual who does not belong to a research institution to conduct a series of necessary investigations to know whether the global temperature is increasing? How could an ordinary citizen engage in tasks such as drilling Antarctic ice cores to analyze ancient atmospheric components or examining tree rings across the globe to reconstruct climate patterns? Also, when a certain politician is suspected of corruption, if all citizens neglect their work and homes and begin an investigation on the issue, the society would not function. This approach, that since experts and the media cannot be trusted, individuals who make the effort themselves can find the truth, may sound scientific and independent, but it is impossible in reality. Then, the experts must have integrity and independence from power. They have to work for the common good and the truth, rather than their own personal interests. For example, the truth should not be distorted by the motive of a person in power who wants to prioritize the economy over the environment. Politics and the truth are 2 separate things, so it is a possible scenario that we recognize that the climate is changing while prioritizing immediate prosperity and abandoning environmental measures. Experts need to be independent even from the will of the majority. Even if the majority of the residents want to believe in the story that humanity originated from a certain pair of ancestors, experts should not twist the fact that humans evolved from apes, as archaeological and biological evidence suggests. Why are more experts better? Not all experts have integrity, and all of them are potentially fallible. What matters is that the system allows other experts to point out mistakes when a fellow specialist makes a flawed argument. Most importantly, the truth is a provisional consensus. The truth is an explanation that earns approval from the largest group of experts at the time, and it is always ready to be updated. The objective universal truth may exist, but there is a limit to how precisely humans can perceive it. The truth as we perceive it is dynamic, constantly shifting and being revised. Perhaps the most important ability in the 21st century is flexibility, to always abandon and update the beliefs we held until yesterday.